What is up, my ninjas? I am Strident, and welcome to another review. So, last time, 2 times ago, a little while ago, we talked about the Joytoy Fox Hunter from Crossfire. I had the hat version. I did not have the other version. I still haven't gotten her yet, but I got a whole bunch of other Joytoy stuff. At the end of the video, I did say we were going to talk about these guys, but before I got them, I got I should say shortly after I got them. These are the ones I got from them Guts. Thank you, Guts. But I did get the some other guys, and there were ones that I felt like, because at the time it was the only one I had, I would talk about them. And today we're gonna go into detail about them because I'm big into Joytoy, and there's not that much to really you know, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go through kind of an overview of these figures because, talking about the articulation and all that stuff, it's the same for all the figures across all the different lines, so I don't have to go into much. But today we're going to be talking about the Joytoy Blue Falcon. I call him Agent Blue because, I have a whole different thing for him. A Blue Falcon is actually in the United States military, many militaries, we call him a buddy fucker, and that's someone who screws over their fellow soldiers, their team essentially. But this guy shouldn't be that guy unless you want that in your universe. I really dig the aesthetics of this guy because most of Joytoy is built on taking inspiration from the aesthetics of the Titanfall universe, especially for their futuristic stuff, Dark Source, not Crossfire, but what we're looking at now, which is the hardcore Coldplay line. And if you don't believe me, here is some, evidence. You can see in the way that the armor fits, the pieces of armor, like the thigh armor, knees, the upper shoulder armor, and no elbow pads. It's the opposite of what you see in the Call of Duty armor, like the more futuristic Call of Duty games, where you have like each piece is a segmented, armor, elbow pads, knee pads, thigh pads, crotch plates. It's not that. And, I'm giving you examples so you can see. They mix and match the aesthetics, and you see it throughout the multiple scales. They do have 2, sometimes 3 scales. They're 127, 124, and 118th scale. I dig them. At first, I didn't dig the 124th and 127th scale figures because they were too small. But then I got a couple of the figures that it's like the articulation scheme is so good that it just was like, I had to get them. And also just the aesthetics, here's some more aesthetics. If you've been keeping up with Joytoy, they post pretty regularly, and a lot of the posts that they've been posting recently, like Christmas time up to now, have been showing newer stuff that looks like this, along the lines of this. They're going into space, and so for those of you who are more old school GI Joe heads, stick with it. You're cool. You got your thing. For those of us who want more of this sci-fi future war type aesthetic, we got this. And please, a lot of you out there, people selling these figures, stop calling these Acid Rain. They are not Acid Rain figures. They are light years better in design, in paint scheme. Articulation, they're about neck and neck with actual Acid Rain, and even in some cases Acid Rain figures have sometimes better articulation. But come on, these figures look light years better. Come on, they're Joytoy, it's separate. But anyway, I figured for a change we would take a look at more of the box, product shots on the box, because I wanted to just show you how closely the figure matches the product shots. Because a lot of times, and I apologize for the glare, I actually shot this review at my in-laws, and I've been sitting on this footage, these pictures, for a long time, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to utilize this. But anyway, a lot of times you get product shots that show a better figure than what you end up with, but in this case we ended up with exactly what we're seeing here, and that's the level of quality that you come to expect with Joytoy, because they keep getting better and better and better and better and better with each release. And I'm cool with it. The figures are expensive, so you expect to get a quality figure. I wish they had done their research about the name, because the various militaries of the world have some very specific terminology, and you can't just slap a name on anything. But then again, here they are, and that's what they've done. But let's just take a closer look at our Agent Blue. We're going to look at him in more detail. I am really happy with this figure. There's a couple things that I left out, I didn't take pictures of, but you'll see them here in the packaging. The pistol, you can see that it's got two colors, the top and the bottom part, white and black. You can see the shovel, I left that out as well. Everything else we went into detail on later on in the video. But it's a nice package, a nice, stacked package full of all this stuff, and it's cool to see your figure before you fully load him up. I really dig that. I hate the decals though. Destroy, force, you know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. Like, come up with actual terminology or actual decals that say something instead of generic terms like destroy. Why don't you put, blue 1 or blue, 105 or 115 or whatever? Because supposedly he's part of the airborne division. Put that sort of thing, put airborne somewhere on the costume, you know what I mean? Don't put destroy and force and stupid shit like that. But that's the most minor nitpick that I have for this set, for these guys. Everything works. I love the weapons. I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out which gun that is. It's like a futuristic version of a couple different guns kind of put into one. You gun nuts out there can, specify. I go into more detail on what the gun is. I love the hatchet. It's a nice last-ditch weapon, a good survival weapon, But your figure is very posable. I love it. I love it. And he's even more posable when he doesn't have all his gear on. I had no issues, with any of the joints. I've seen videos where people talk about the toe joints not working. The toe joints worked fine. Knees weren't stuck. Nothing was stuck. This was nothing like Boris and Rama's, where there were certain things that were stuck. Actually, it was more so Boris than Rama's. Rama's was almost perfect. Joytoy keeps upping the ante as far as quality goes. I don't like these backwards or upside down caution stickers on his knees. Why are you saying caution on the knee? Because he's about to knee you in the face with it, It's easy to put on all the gear. It's not like it was for Boris, where you had to glue parts together. That was a pain in the ass. I did not enjoy that process for Boris. I mean, I'm used to putting stuff together because I do gunpla and stuff like that. But as you go, you figure it out. You can pop apart the legs, the arms, the body. Everything pulls apart because you also get, with many releases, you get replacement parts. Gun goes in the holster. I did have to glue the holster back on because it fell off while I was pushing the parts on his body. But once you get him all like armed up, he looks really cool. I actually was opting to keep him without the helmet just because, he has more personality. Also because if you get enough Joytoy figures, you'll start to notice that the same heads keep reappearing throughout several different releases. I have this head like 3 or 4 different times. So I figured with the others, I would keep their helmets on, and with him, this would be his face. Again, there's the destroy. Ugh, hate that. But all the different clips, because he has different types of guns, and it makes sense to have the different sized clips on your person. That's actually commonplace for, I don't want to say operators, but soldiers that use, heavier weapons. You've got your communication system with the, earpiece or shoulder piece on the back and on the shoulder. You've got the little holster area for the axe or hatchet. You got your holster for your gun. You've got all your little pockets for all your everything else, your rations, your, your med kit, etc., etc. And I like it because, like, it's close to what a real loadout looks like, but they have things that you can use your imagination and decide what you want to be in there for the sake of your own little story and your own little world. So it works really well. All right, so we're gonna get into the weapons. Like I said, I left out the pistol. I showed it to you over there. Um, I didn't really focus on that much. I focused more on this Vector Chris. This was the first Joy Toy figure that I think he's the only one actually that I have that has one of these. Um, and I dig it. You know me, Weaponsmith uses the Vector Chris. In universe, this guy has some history with Weaponsmith as well. Um, so we have some things in common. But I really dig this weapon. I dig the way it looks here. I wish it didn't say destroy on it. I seriously hate that shit. Um, yeah, I was on the table when I was doing this review. But he holds it like a champ, no problem. He's staring right down the length of the weapon. He chambers it fine. He can, hold it in rest fine. There's no issues with it at all. He actually has a really good grip. Your finger actually goes into, on the trigger, in the guard and everything. It's dope. It's really dope, really well done. It's not modular though, so you can't use your Marauder stuff with it. Now the Spec Ops helmet. I don't know why I'm stuttering. Maybe because it's late. But anyway, I call it the Spec Ops helmet because the Joytoy Special Operations Group, the guys you see up top, which I will be reviewing soon, they wear this helmet. They were the first place I saw this helmet. So, seeing it again here, I was like, oh, okay, that's where it came from. So you can replace the head and put the helmet on. The helmet does not slide on top of his head. But, it's a pretty dope design overall. He looks really good with all this stuff on. He looks pretty ready. I was like, this is dope. I really like it. I was geeking out. I actually took these images around Christmas time last year. So I've been sitting on this for a while because, I was moments from quitting around that time. Anyway, here's his shotgun. Now, I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what exact shotgun were they modeling it after. What I could find, and I could be off, is this Keltec KS7 and the KSG FDE. Like, I like the look of it, and it reminds me of it. And if you notice, you saw this same rifle with the Crossfire hat version. I think that's A. And you also see it you see something very similar with the PLA, are they called the Field Team? Or the 3-pack, the PLA 3-pack. It just says Armed Special Forces, PLA Special Forces. I have them too. But it's a nice shoddy. It's something you don't see often. It was in Rainbow Six, which is pretty cool. That's how I knew of it. I had seen one before. One of my old supervisors, he was a gun nut. He used to brag about the type of guns he carried. Well, he had. So, cookouts at his house was always show and tell for him with his various sniper rifles and shit like that. But it's pretty nice, man. It's different. I think I have one other Joe that has that. But anyway, there are some issues. And these issues I've had with many of the older Joytoy figures. Now, if you noticed in the background, you probably saw the Gorilla Glue and wondered, why does he have Gorilla Glue there? Well, besides the idea of potentially having parts pop off, I've just learned that when I get a Joytoy, package, keep the glue out because you may have to use it. Luckily, I didn't have to use it very much in this instance. But what I do use it for is the neck peg. So the neck and the head, it's a 2-part system, or I guess 3 parts. You have your ball joint, you have your neck peg, and then you have your head at the top of the neck peg. A lot of times moving the neck around, it just pops right off. So I would put a drop of Gorilla Glue, and I use Gorilla Glue because it bonds really nice. And the super glue version, the gel super glue, doesn't foam up like the liquid does. The liquid, you sometimes have to use a little bit of water and it will foam up and bubble up, and it's a mess. The gel, actually, you can easily control it. You just drop like a little drop on there and it will dry nicely and bond perfectly, and you don't have to worry too much about any extra mess. And so far I haven't had any issues. Yes, you lose the bottom of the neck peg's ability to like move around when you finally do put the neck back on there, but you still have the head's ability to move around on the peg on the top of the neck, which I'm good with. Now, a lot of the newer figures don't have this issue. Like the PLA Special Forces, no issues. They're actually pretty good. The neck and the head move perfectly. You can still pull it off, but they fit back in properly. But like the special group and all them special ops and all them, they actually have issues. So I've glued those on, and the other hardcore Coldplay figures, I've done the same thing for them as well. But yeah, once it's on, you still have the ability to move his head. It makes him more along the lines of like a Pursuit of Cobra figure, like a really, really amazing Pursuit of Cobra figure. But I like it. I like it. I don't have problems with him. I don't necessarily need him to be super prone and, you know, be sniping that way. Here he is with the pistol. Sorry, the light is kind of, you know, getting in the way. But I was going for, you know, atmosphere, you know. Here he is again with the pistol, and his Chris, of course. But yeah, he's pretty dope once you get past that one issue. And here he is with his hatchet. The hatchet is pretty nice too. It's not much to it, you know. I did not show him in with the shovel. I just, you know, I couldn't really figure out what to do with them with the shovel. I was just like, you know what, let's move on. I don't have to go too much into the shovel. But the last piece is this little like insert that shows what you should be getting in the box, and it kind of gives you a little bit of, you know, instructions in really funny English. And I don't mind. It's not terrible. It's just funny, you know, how serious they are about what they want you to do with this stuff. But yeah, that's it. And now we're here at the bottom line. It seems really fast, isn't it? Overall, this toy was fun, man. I'm loving my journey into Joytoy. Everything that I was wanting from Hasbro that they refuse to do, I'm getting with my Joytoy figures. The articulation, the replacement parts. I'm getting weapons that I haven't seen, you know, a ton of. I'm getting armor, even though they do reuse the same armor a lot and some of the same head sculpts a lot. I'm still getting variations. Granted, something that I have been seeing a lot with these figures is that this loadout, there's like two loadouts that you're going to see on so many of the earlier sets. You see this one with the special group, or I'm sorry, the red version of this guy is the special group, but it's way like a little bit different in his leg armor and stuff like that. And of course he's got camo, you know. But the body, you're gonna see this body over and over. Most of the releases have this exact body, and they have variations on the armor between these two guys. Red is pretty dope too. His helmet is more along the lines of like your Steel Brigade Delta or your Joe Troopers from Retaliation. But they complement each other well. You know, it's almost like Gunstar Heroes, you know, red and blue were the two main characters that you play as. Or like Contra, you know, you got your player 1 is usually red, player 2 is blue. So, you know, having them together, I just have them Agent Red and Blue. They are going to be my my time division, or I should say interdimensional division, because they do a little bit of time travel, a little bit dimension hopping, and deal with those kinds of crooks and, you know, those kinds of enemies, so to speak. So you will be seeing them in some other stuff, you know. I just like these guys, man. They're a lot of fun. They're easy to play with. Once you get all their shit on them, the stuff doesn't fall off. So they're, you know, a joy to play with. So I feel like if you see these guys for a decent price, you know, at the very highest, maybe $30, get them. They're worth it. If you see them for, you know, over that, don't do it, because you're not getting, you know, more than $30 worth of a figure. But this is S-Class stuff here. Even with the nitpicks that I have, because I'm pretty sure your mileage will vary. Certain figures will have issues with their neck pegs and certain figures won't. It's still S-Class stuff because it does light years better than what we've been getting with G.I. Joe. So this has been my look at the Joytoy Blue Falcon, aka Agent Blue, and I love him, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. As always, you guys have been great. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I will catch you on the next video. Peace outside.